Hey, where are you? I thought we were going to meet at 11. Okay, well, it's 2 past 11 right now. Okay, you ready? All right, I'll see you in a few seconds. Gosh, can't believe he's late. All right, let's play this game. Okay. Hey guys, welcome to another Rodney O Weekly. And this week I want to examine the whole question about millennials. And are millennials worse off than their parents? I had some clients this week who really were disappointed, really down on themselves because they have a hard time affording a place to stay, affording to buy a house. And so they're kind of asking the question, with the economy being different, with things being tougher to get, that they're just really down and just asking that question, are they worse off than their parents? And so I thought I would examine that and look into that deeply and examine 5 different things, 5 differences between millennials and the generation before them. And so I want to kind of define what I mean by millennials. Now, millennials are defined as somebody born from 1980 to 1994. And then you can throw in Generation Y, Generation Next, and that terminology as well. It's all the same term. But then if you go into Generation Z, it's from 1995 to 2012. And so when I say millennials, I'm going to kind of just talk about the generation now versus their parents. And again, we're going to look at 5 differences between millennials and their parents. The first thing I want to talk about is the pay scale. Now, when I started working at 15 and a half years old, guess what the minimum wage was? $4.25 an hour. That's right. I worked for $4.25 an hour. Right now, by 2020, the pay per hour in California is going to be $12. By 2022, the pay is going to be $15. $15 an hour, more than I ever imagined when I was a kid working as a teenager in fast food. And my son right now, he's working at Chick-fil-A. Places like that right now are paying 15, 16 bucks an hour. And so the opportunities are there. Everywhere I go, there is now hiring signs and you can get a job, in my opinion, fairly easier than I could when I was a teenager and I was working, looking for a job. And so the opportunities are there. Now I know that inflation plays a part in this. I know that houses are more expensive, rent is more expensive, the cost of living is more expensive than it was back in my day. But still, I think the pay has kind of kept up with that, and I think that is kind of equal as far as opportunities that millennials will have now versus when I was growing up and the opportunities that I had with the pay scale. I've talked about this, and a lot of people feel college is a way to go in order to kind of tip the scales a little bit, and there's very different opinions on that. And you can click on this card up here because my last video I did was, is college worth it? Go ahead and check that out after you check out this video. All right, the second difference between millennials and the parents is when I was growing up and I wanted to go to school, guess what I did? I walked, or I took the bus. If I wanted to go anywhere to the store, I walked. If I wanted to go to a friend's house, I rode my bike. And so nowadays, I notice that we give our kids rides everywhere. Like, sometimes they take the bus. I think there's a few minority that I know of that take the bus, but a lot of times it's ride somewhere, or guess what? You want us to order you an Uber or a Lyft to get around. And so the opportunities there is a lot better than we had as we got more exercise because we were walking everywhere, riding our bike everywhere, or riding the bus everywhere. And this also plays into something I really noticed is that teenagers now are waiting longer and longer to get their licenses. For me, guess what I did? On my birthday, it was a Wednesday, I remember, right at 8 a.m. when the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, opened up, I made my appointment. And I had to wait 2 weeks for an appointment. So what I did was 2 weeks before my birthday to the day, I called, made that 8 o'clock appointment. So the first opportunity I had to take my test, guess what I did? I took it. Now kids are waiting 18, 20s in order to drive, again, because maybe the convenience of Lyft, maybe the convenience of Uber, but again, just the expectation of getting those rides just isn't there as we as parents took our kids everywhere. And so I think millennials right now are kind of growing up in the day and age where they're just used to being taken everywhere and they get rides everywhere. The third difference between millennials and their parents is the interaction and relationships with other people. And what I mean by this is, growing up, I remember going outside, going to the local park, playing with my friends, tossing the football around, playing basketball at the local park, playing basketball at our local school, and just going out and interacting with our friends that way. And so it really built skills in order to relate as we got older. But I know millennials, especially with technology now and with game consoles, you can get on the game, put on your headset, and you're talking to your friends over the headset as you sit in your bedroom, sit in your living room, and you're playing the game console, PS4, Xbox, whatever it may be. And that's not a bad thing. That's just a difference in what was going on between us and the new generation and millennials. And so what I think that plays into is just as far as exercise, I think that maybe it plays into a part of not really going out and getting the exercise that you can get by playing a sport outside. Now, I know some millennials grow up and play sports in school, so I'm not talking about that, but I think on a wide scale, just the ability to talk to other people, know how to talk to people, be socially active beyond Instagram, Facebook, and things online, social media is very important. And you can click on a card here as I show my video, business networking tips that can be helpful as I talked to my friend Ryan Rucker about networking to do better business with other people. All right, and the fourth difference between millennials and their parents is this whole idea of instant gratification in technology. You know, when I was growing up, if I wanted to make a phone call to somebody and I wasn't at home, I had to go find a payphone. And I had to go on the payphone and know their phone number. Because I admit right now, a lot of family members, I don't even know their phone number because my smartphone keeps that information for me. But now you have this instantaneous thing called Google, you have Alexa, you have Siri, and you have these other things where you can just go look information up at the snap of a finger. For me, I had to do research in a library or the school library, right? I had to go there and I had to look at the card catalog, find a reference book, find an encyclopedia, go take notes, and then go home and type up my paper or type up my research to find information out and leave a report. And so the one thing that it did do for us is we kind of knew what was true and what was not true. And I think a lot of times now, the difference is you may find something, this Wikipedia age can be dangerous because you don't know what's true and what's not true. So you have to discern what is true and what's not true. And so that is a major difference between millennials and their parents. Oh, hey, be sure to like and subscribe. And here we are, difference number 5 between millennials and their parents. And this one has to do with entitlement. And what I mean by that is, you know, growing up, there was this feeling that our parents supported us, right? But they were honest with us and not necessarily saying you can do anything. If we were bad in a certain subject in school, you know, if I'm bad at math and I'm going to say I'm going to be an engineer, they're going to say, you know what, you're not really good at math. You may want to rethink that. Right? But now growing up, I think that a lot of times parents just encourage their millennials, you can do anything. And I like the encouragement part, but I think the whole part about they can do anything and encouraging them and not telling them the truth may hurt. You know, a good example is probably sports. Sports, we don't keep score anymore at a young age, and we want to be fair, and you want everybody to have a chance and everybody have a turn. And you know, when I coached basketball, I was coaching junior high basketball, right? Competition, right? I didn't coach until my son got into the 6th grade because I wanted to keep score. Actually, it was 5th grade. And so we were keeping score, and there was a game where a student didn't play. And that's because it was a very close game, and he was like number 14 out of 14 kids, and I just couldn't get that deep without losing our lead. And I know some people would say like, oh, everybody should get a turn to play. Well, this game we won, and he didn't get a chance to play, and I remember the parents being very upset. But I made it up because the next game we were playing a weaker opponent, and he played almost the majority of the game. And so it goes that way sometimes, but the mindset there is saying that they're entitled to do this even though they may not be that great. And even though it's just junior high sports, just be honest with them. Say, hey, if you enjoy the sport, go ahead and play. But if you're not good enough, maybe you won't be able to play every single game, but we get you in there when we can. And so I think that really goes into adulthood where you have this entitlement where you feel that people owe you something. And I think that's really having a negative impact upon millennials. And that's the 5th difference between millennials and their parents. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Hey, I just finished up my podcast as usual, and I wanted to leave you guys with a couple things as we talk about this whole thing of are millennials worse off than their parents. And so I want to say right now that there are better advantages now for people living today, especially for me, not just millennials, but there's more advantages now because of technology, because of the smartphone. And take advantage of those things. I know sometimes you may get down and depressed because we have things like Instagram, Facebook, you don't get enough likes, you don't get enough follows, and you're wondering why you don't and somebody else does. Hey, don't worry about that, right? What you want to do is you want to embrace the technology now. Find out what you're good at, find out how you can crush it, find out how you can succeed, and use that to progress forward. Here, let me leave you with a couple companies here. Amazon, Lyft, Uber, Instagram, Facebook. All these things are products of technology. All these things that that are used to progress you forward and to make you better and to make you have a chance to succeed, right? Use those things and I'm pretty sure that you can crush it. And so my overall thing now, are millennials worse off than their parents? No, I don't think so. I think what's different is the way you were brought up. I think the difference is sometimes we go into excuses, or we go into not really knowing how to succeed. And so I want to help you do that, because as usual, I want to inspire, encourage, and motivate all of you guys as we navigate this thing called life. Thanks for joining me. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to check out my other videos. Be sure to check out my Keys to Success podcast, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks.